family. My name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm so pleased to be a contributor here on African Diaspora News Channel. As you come in, please come in giving us the thumbs up, like, and share this most important broadcast that helps us to get the message out of this amazing Black media network. Listen, family, certainly you've been keeping up with what's been going on in the world, in the United States, certainly as it relates to this latest terrorist attack by these white supremacists, this insurrection that took place. Very serious circumstance, but it's very telling. If you have been following any of my work, you know that for the longest time I have been connecting the dots in a number of other cases about the complicity of collusion of law enforcement and other officials in certain crimes. I'm emphasizing that because it is no wonder, even in this situation, I'm saying, and I'm asking the question, was the DC terrorist invasion, this was a terrorist attack, was it an inside job? Now, this is the question, and these are the connections that we as Black media folk have been making for a long time in a number of other cases and circumstances. But it's fascinating, the unequivocal evidence and some of the shocking people that's asking similar questions now. You may be saying, Vicki, what do you mean? Well, I'm reading to you now Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley's tweet. Look at the words, listen to the words of what Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley says. This is a U.S. representative. I'm calling for Congress to immediately investigate every individual and agency who played a role in enabling yesterday's violent insurrection. Now, how is it that right now these federal legislators are being very specific about wanting not just individuals, but agencies who played a role in the insurrection to be investigated? One of the conclusions and one of the things I think is connected to this, because they saw the connection in other cases related to, for example, Breonna Taylor. In the Breonna Taylor case, what happened there? You saw they tried to coerce Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend to implicate her in a crime, even though she's dead, she's deceased, so that they could justify assassinating or murdering her, lynching her in this modern day high-tech lynching. But thankfully, her ex-boyfriend had enough integrity that even though he may be looking at more time in prison, he refused to do that. We see that they prosecuted her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, her current boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, who was protecting his home as a lawful gun owner, believing that his home was being burglarized. He even called the police, so they know he thought his home was burglarized. But this law-abiding, licensed to carry Black man who was protecting his woman fired a warning shot, plenty of evidence of it, but in order for the cops to cover their tails, they arrested him to try to make it look like, to justify why they were shooting, because he had done something wrong. After initially Alba apologizing to him and telling him they were going to work out the situation before they schemed to set him up to justify and cover their own crimes. You see how Daniel Cameron, the Black-faced white supremacist attorney general, lied to the public and gave the impression that the jurors had all the necessary information before them and just simply chose not to hold the cops accountable for her murder until one of the jurors ended up suing in order for them to release the truth about the fact that they were never even given the opportunity to have the charge to hold them accountable for murder. You also found where the cops that got the warrant in the Breonna Taylor case lied and said that the postal inspector, the post office, which is a federal agency, told them that suspicious packages were being received, and the post office came out and said, that's a lie. So you see at every turn. In a recent case that you know about, officials lied and were guilty of massive malfeasance and a major cover-up. So it should not be out of the question to believe that officials were involved or could have been involved and responsible for what we just recently experienced. And to hear this Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley demand this is very interesting. And of course, she's saying this after I had already been asking a lot of these similar questions and connecting these dots in this situation as well as in others. Another fascinating thing is this article now, where if you all remember, you'll probably see the picture here in just a moment. One of these Trump forever, not Trump forever, Trump forever, F-U-R, the costume Capitol rioter, they call him the Capitol rioter, but these are insurrectionists. But the title of this article calls him a costume Capitol rioter, is the son of a Brooklyn Supreme Court judge. Listen briefly. The politically connected son of Brooklyn Supreme Court judge was among the band of Trump-supporting marauders who ransacked the U.S. Capitol building on Wednesday. Dressed in fur pellets and bulletproof vests, Aaron Mostovsky joined an early wave of rioters who swarmed the halls of Congress, forcing lawmakers to evacuate before certifying Joe Biden's election victory. He can be seen in several photos outside the Senate chambers holding a wooden stick and police riot shield alongside a man carrying a Confederate flag. The man's father is Shlomo, S-H-L-O-M-O, Mostovsky, a prominent modern Orthodox figure in Brooklyn and former president of the National Council of Young Israel. He was elected by the Kings County Supreme Court last January with the backing of the Brooklyn Democratic Party. Family, think about that. But that's not all. Take a look at this. Here's a photo of Derek Evans given the oath of office in West Virginia, House of Delegates, just December 14, 2020. Family, that's just recently. What's the big deal? Listen to the title of this article. In the thick of it, several GOP state lawmakers observed or joined assault on Capitol. One has been arrested. Y'all listen. A West Virginia state lawmaker has been charged with entering a restricted area of the U.S. Capitol after he live streamed himself rushing into the building with a mob of President Trump supporters. Republican State Delegate Derek Evans is facing bipartisan calls for his resignation as federal prosecutors step up their pursuit of those who participated in the assault. Evans was among Republican lawmakers from at least 7 states who traveled to Washington for demonstrations rooted in the baseless conspiracy theory that President-elect Joe Biden won the presidential election through fraud. Wearing a helmet, Evans ultimately joined a screaming mob as it pushed its way into the Capitol and live streamed himself joyfully strolling inside. Ken Cole, a top deputy federal prosecutor in Washington, announced a charge against Evans on a call in which he presented dozens of new charges against members of the crowd that violently stormed the Capitol on Wednesday. Family, our brother Phil Scott, our amazing brother here, whose amazing network we're on, is reaching so many people around the world. I'm sure in some of his commentary, I caught some of his commentary when he went live on this recently. Explain to you, and I'm not sure if he showed you footage or not, of the DC police opening the doors, gently allowing them to come in. Did you guys see the video footage of the police taking selfies with them? Did you hear the law enforcement official out of Chicago being sympathetic and saying that if the worst thing that they did was trespassing and all that, he said, so be it? Black family, we better wake up and smell the begonias. This is once again another thing, another major incident for Black folks to say, you know what? Forget trying to repair Babylon. Revelation styles America as Babylon the Great. In one part of scripture, it calls it Mystery Babylon. In other parts of scripture, when it's talking about Egypt, America is styled as Egypt. The children of Israel, there's only one group of people that fits the description of who's been in bondage for over 400 years. Nobody fits that description but the Black man and the Black woman in America. Somebody talk Black to me. But Revelation said Babylon the Great has fallen. And the invasion of the capital is also a spiritual sign of that fall. And it's all interconnected to the mistreatment of Black folk. And this is a sign for Black folk that we better go sit our funny looking selves down in our homes, keep teaching our own babies, starting your very Black businesses so that you're not 100% reliant on your open enemy, so that when something goes on, they can just snatch your resources from you and your whole life is over. Doing business with our brothers around the world, if possible, and making our own neighborhoods safe and decent places to live, policing our own communities and resolving our own problems, because the God is at work in America. And we don't want to stand in the way of it. Don't you go down there trying to demonstrate. You stay your hips home, family, and let them be for this. This is the white on white issue. You stay out of this. And you be wise. My name is Vicki Dillard. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard. That's Vicki X Dillard. And follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard Instagram. And follow me on Twitter at Dillard Vicki, my last name first. You can spell my name Vicki. Also, be sure to check out my website at MissVickiTV.com. And you can order a couple of products there as well. That's MissVickiTV.com. Love you so much. Thank you for tuning in.